All right, so now that we created that class for platforms, now we need to do the next thing, which is to start displaying those platforms. So we could do most of this in the sketch. And then when we get ready to set up to start doing our collisions, that's when we'll have to start making some changes in code. Okay, so what we need when we want to do platforms, we're going to need to have a reference to a list of platforms that we want to have in our game, and we're going to have a list of those platform images. Okay, so create a couple variables for that, and then I'm basically going to kind of reuse some of the stuff. Wherever I'm loading, say I'm loading the player and the different enemies, I'm going to just load the platforms also, like this. So load platform images. We have in our preload, so that's going to have to get done, and then in our setup, we have players in it and enemies in it, and then we load our enemies. We're going to need to kind of do the same thing, but we need to make sure that we have, this should not be there, enemies, hold on, should probably be my enemies in it. That'd work. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are loading, because we're going to use the platforms ultimately to set up our player and our enemies, like where their location is. So we're going to have a platform init function here, and that's going to have to happen before the players. So then let's look at that function. So I'll just do this right after the draw. Function platform init is going to be, let's start our list. It's almost the same as how we would do the enemies. Ultimately here we're going to create a platform. So let's say I call it ground platform. That's going to equal a new, and I'm going to use the new class that I just created, platform, that I'm going to be passing in the ground. I'm going to, create a vector for its position. So say I'm going to do -20, because I want it to be somewhat down. I want it to be covering the entire bottom of the screen from the far left to the far right. So I'll do -20. Minus height, or excuse me, height minus 10 for it to be almost right at the bottom. That's my first vector. Now the ground is not moving right now, so I'll put that as 0, 0. I need to pass in those platform images to build it out, and 20 would be the length. Now if I didn't pass anything, I could put this as null, or just not add that parameter, and we could work from there. And then finally we would platforms.push, and we want to push that ground platform. Okay. So now that we got that, let's make sure that those images are loaded. So let's create that, and I'm going to do this where I have my images. So there's my inits for my enemies. These ones are me loading my animations. So I'm going to do them here. Outside of any function, I'm going to create another one. Function load platform images, and we have to put those onto an array Now these ones, I don't need to do a string literal to build this out for the name. I'm basically just going to push the image directly onto it, and I haven't even uploaded the image yet. So I'm going to create a folder called platform images, and then I'm going to load each individual one. My left edge is going to be my start.png. So I'm going to do 3 of these. 2, 3. My middle one is going to be called just middle. And my far right edge is going to be called end. Okay, so that basically does this. Now that we have those, we're loading those platform images, and then we're loading the platform. And so now I need to load those pictures. So we downloaded those last time. We downloaded those slices. Let's go ahead and extract. Remember, it was left, right, middle. Did we already extract? I think we did. Okay, left, right, middle. We don't need this one. Okay, left, right, middle. All right, so I said I was going to create a folder. Let's make sure that we're creating that folder. Okay, so let's make sure that I'm creating the folder correctly. It's just called platform images. So create folder. Yeah. And now let's upload some files. Being difficult with me. Okay, left, right, middle. There they are. Let's change the names. Calling it start. Calling this end, and calling this one middle. All right, so if we did everything right, let's go back to our sketch. Now we need to go to our draw and actually draw it. So we just have a ground, we just need to draw it. Okay, so I don't know where this is. It's getting crazy. There it is. All right. Our platform is we're going to do that below our player and our enemy, so they're always standing in front of it. So here, we're just going to do a for of loop for let platform of platforms. For every one, we're just doing a platform.update and a platform.display. See if we air it out. Awesome. Cannot read properties of undefined reading 0. Platform line 24. I think I know what the issue is. Oh, I probably got a spelling mistake. Platform images. Let's just check right here real quick. Should have 3 images. There we do. Okay. So that's not the issue. We have an image. We have those 3 images. We've done those. Oops. Not supposed to be like that. Image. No, it is. This dot images. Okay, there it is. All right, now we got another error. Cannot read properties of undefined reading 2. Okay, I had another error because I called it wrong. Okay, so there it is. Now this is calling the update for my dynamic because that's how we set up the platform was inheriting from the dynamic. So let's make sure that we have that set up. Now all we have right here is we just have that this is a dynamic update, and this is the first time that we're creating something that's not a creature. So there is something that we're going to make a change to. We're not adding any type of gravity to these things. They're just going to be moving. So we can just give them a velocity. So what we need to do in this position, we need to update the position based off of whatever the velocity is. So we're going to just add that on there. So this will get called, well, we have no velocity for our ground, but now we see it. Now we're not standing on the ground and it's there, it's just not doing anything. So now let's see if we add a couple more platforms, what that would look like. And that should finish off this section. Let's add let's add 2 more platforms. We'll add kind of like a middle height and a top platform. There you go. All right. I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it and I'm going to make some changes on it. Let's call this one middle. And then I'm going to call these platform instead of ground so I could differentiate between the two. We'll call this one top. And this one's also going to just be a platform. So anything that's kind of floating, I'm going to call it something different. So the middle platform, based off of values that I had, and you guys can play around with it, I'm doing closer down to the bottom, so I'm going to do 300 height minus 200 because I want it moving. I'm going to give it a velocity of -5 for the x. I'm passing in those images, and then I am not giving it a length. I want it to randomly build that length. Now for the top one, we're also going to do 300. We'll do height. Height minus 400. And my canvas size, I think, is different than you guys' right now, too. Create vector. We're going to have this one move a little bit slower. And then we are not giving a height either, or a length. Let's go ahead and run that. I did push it, so I'm going to change this to middle and top. And there we go. There's our platforms. Got to tweak something. There's some code that we can see now, an error. We see the middle sections look like they're going good, but we're seeing the end first before we're seeing the start. So that is really an order of when we're putting those images in. So we have to double check those pieces of code. Where are we at? Start, middle, and end. 0, 1, 2. Wonder if I loaded them wrong. The middle is working. Let's delete the start and we'll delete the end just to make sure. Well, we'll just delete the start. That's the one. Okay, so then this is how we are displaying our platform. So I must have some error in here. This is image 0. It's 1. Image is 2. Okay. If I comment this out, what are we seeing? It's showing the wrong image. Okay, so this is an order thing. All right, this one means that we are putting it to the this.position.x, this.position.x plus this.length minus 1 times. Okay, this is a math issue. Order of operations, I'm wanting to multiply this.length minus 1 times this.cw, but instead I'm doing 1 times cw and then I'm minusing that. So that's why I'm actually putting the image to the left of the original one. So what I need to do is I need to freezing up. Okay, I need to put this dot length minus 1. That is all one thing. Okay, these are images. They're properly ordered. And I could change the length of the middle sections. I don't need to. It does blend well. There's my platforms. They're not doing anything right now. I'm not checking for collisions yet. I'm not checking for ground. My players and my enemies are not reacting to it. and that's fine right now. But we do have working platforms. The ground is not moving, it's staying stationary, but then we have two other sets of platforms that we can give them different velocities. So that wraps up this part of actually getting the platforms to display. The next thing that we need to do is actually change how we're dealing with collisions, and then start adding these list of platforms to the player and the enemy so that we can choose where their ground is, like where they're going to stand on top of, and then we can start adding that into our classes. All right, good luck, have fun.